Hello everyone and welcome back to episode number 6 of my Out of the Park Baseball 22 series with the Pittsburgh Pirates. And in this episode we'll be getting into the second part of the off-season for our team. Of course, our first off-season. When I left everybody off in the last episode, we had made a few offers to some free agents, which I'll quickly remind you of here. We offered up to Ender Inciarte to most likely spend most of the time as a starting center fielder next year. James Paxton to pitch in our rotation on a 2-year deal with a player option, or a 1-year deal with a player option as the second year. And then an international free agent, Jaiju Ko, who is a pretty good hitting first baseman who really isn't that awesome in the field. But of course, before all of those guys sign, they do favor our offers but haven't reacted to our offers yet. We have the Rule 5 draft, which should be pretty important to building our team, especially in a series with the Pirates, who are a small market team. Of course, I leveraged it a lot with the Tigers, picked up Stephen Paolini in that series, who ended up being an absolutely fantastic player for us in that series. So it's going to be important for us to be able to, poach some guys from other organizations who are very good that we can use to better our own organization. So we're going to go ahead and get to our pick, which is the 5th pick. And there are definitely some guys here that are pretty interesting. A few catchers here up at the top who look to have pretty high potentials. I'm not quite sure how they're necessarily this high. Herrera here actually played in a AAA last year. He's advanced through the levels quite a bit. Our scout likes him quite a bit more than the OSA ratings. He did not hit very well at all last year once he's promoted to AAA. This guy is definitely not major league ready quite yet. Now, this guy right here, I honestly don't really understand how he has a potential of 70. His hitting ratings don't really have that much room to grow, and he also isn't the best defensive catcher. And of course, we already do have 2 pretty good catchers, so I don't think I'm necessarily going to look catching wise here. We have Armenteros here, who again looks like an interesting prospect, but not someone who I think is ready yet to be promoted, especially with that kind of contact rating. So maybe not him yet. But Estevan Florial here, I definitely think if we pick him up, he would be pretty interesting for us. Of course, with that arm he has, he would be a fantastic corner outfielder for us. And, we do have pretty much another starting outfield spot open with Alford manning one right now. And, of course, with injuries, Florial could see a significant time. So I'm actually going to go ahead and pick him, I believe, here first. Think he could, be an interesting prospect. Of course, not really the most highly rated or not really highly viewed as turning into something. I want to quick see his... Okay, so his is actually 70 for both here. I think I actually may go ahead and take him just for the fact that OSA likes him as well. So we could probably make a pretty good trade with him if we do pick him up. But another 2 guys here that I've been eyeing are Jordan Guerrero, who's a pretty good bullpen piece there. I'm 25 years old, and the Padres organization. And then we have Marshall Kawasaki. I'm not quite sure how to say that, but he has amazing stuff. Not the best control, but I think I'm going to go ahead and pick him with this pick. And then if that catcher's still there, I think we might as well just go ahead and nab him as well, just because of his potential. And as you can see here, there is a Pirate in here, O'Neal Cruz, who hopefully will get to the Major League soon. He really hasn't progressed that much here, hitting ratings wise, and also in real life, he is projected to play shortstop, but of course he is 6'7". It's kind of thought that he could be an awesome right fielder in the major leagues. Of course, in this game, it has him started at shortstop. I'm going to try to put him at third base. If that doesn't work out, move him to the outfield. Although, of course, we do have Hayes manning third base right now in the major leagues. So we're going to go ahead and take this catcher before I get too sidetracked. He has a great potential, so if anything, we can use him as a trade chip, and that's going to go ahead and do it for our Rule 5 picks. Then we'll kind of keep going the offseason. I'll update you on see if any of the guys that we offer to sign in the next few days. After the Rule 5 draft, we've gotten to the point here on January 6th where pretty much all the guys that we offered up to have signed and decided on their contracts. Chaiju Ko here, he actually signed way back on the 21st of December. So he decided first of all the guys, of course, he's on a 3-year deal now. He should definitely be the best hitter in our team. Pretty much of no doubt about that. This upcoming season, then Ender Inciarte, he also has joined the team, of course. And then James Paxton, which the fan reaction is pretty good to him, because of course he's a pretty popular player. He will be joining our team on the rotation. So I am adding all 3 of those guys to the active roster. And then just kind of previewing up to next season here. This is kind of what the lineups would be if this season were to start now. Ko would be slid in at first base, of course. Batting fourth, of course. As I mentioned, he was probably the best hitter on our team. Rordvet, I definitely need to look up how to say that name if we decide on keeping him, because I just definitely can't deal with pronouncing his name wrong the entire time. He's slotted to be a starting catcher, although of course sharing a bunch of time with all of our other catchers that we do have. If we do keep him, we will move one of those. Honestly, Stallings will probably be the one we keep just because he's the better defensive catcher just by a bit. And then, of course, Inciarte, another move we made, he is starting against righties. And then Alfred would start against lefties. Florial would be a bench bat. I'm getting, as you can see, a few starts every once in a while there in center field. And also backing up in right field. And we'll probably see some other time in other outfield spots. Then pitching-wise, Paxton is our best rated starter, so it'd be projected that he would be starting for us on opening day this season. And then the next thing that, of course, we have to go over in the offseason is on January 19th, the Hall of Fame results come out, and there are 2 inductees this year, which is pretty interesting, honestly. So you have Alex Rodriguez, who got in 98% of first ballot. Roger Clemens, who got in his, of course, last year of eligibility, his 10th year of Hall of Fame voting, with 78%. And then Barry Bonds does not make it in his 10th year with 74.5%. So, of course, you need a clean 75%. 74.5 rounds up to 75%, but did not quite get it. Something also interesting to me here is David Ortiz didn't get in first ballot, which is kind of surprising. Because usually in these games he does get in first ballot. Kurt Schilling, he didn't get in his 10th year. He's kind of hit or miss in my past OOTP saves, whether he gets in or not. And then you have kind of the rest of the field here is these basically 5 guys have a huge voting percentage advantage over the rest of the guys. Sheffield, Ramirez kind of leading the rest of everyone. Not many first timers with a lot of about 30-ish%, which is kind of what you need to start at, I believe, to even have a chance. And one thing I do like kind of about this is that usually when you pull up the results, it spoils it in the emails, because you'll get the initial voting results email with the alert, and then it'll have like the news stories on, like, oh, like these 2 people got in. That's not there for that, which is kind of cool because it doesn't really spoil it. But I'm also thinking that I might just need to change my mail settings, because it also didn't alert me of the awards at the end of the season. So I might just have to change that in the mail settings, or this just might be the default setting. But either way, I kind of enjoyed not getting spoiled there with that. So that's it for the Hall of Fame getters there, with A-Rod and Clemens being voted in. Getting closer to the start of spring training here at the beginning of February, that's when I kind of usually take a look at some of the available guys and free agents, because at this point, a lot of the guys who are available haven't really, gotten many offers, and could be available for much cheaper than they were initially asking in free agency. And this is also where you can find a lot of veteran guys who may have had injury, like a season's pretty riddled with injury this season before, and things like that. So you can find a lot of these veteran guys here for cheap, but definitely can contribute to your team. There are definitely a few candidates here. Justin Verlander is available here, and as you can see, he's looking for about $8 million. Zach Greinke's available here. 2, of course, pretty good starting pitchers. Justin Verlander is not interested in playing for our manager, and neither is Greinke. I'm kind of surprising, two veteran guys not wanting to play with the worst organization in baseball to kind of close out their careers. But one guy who I did find that was available and that I thought was pretty interesting was Jorge Soler. So now, of course, looking at his season last year, he didn't have really an awesome season. Hit for a pretty good amount of power in his first part with the Royals. Of course, got traded to the Angels, who won the World Series. It looks like he actually won the ALCS MVP award. He did not play very well with them. Of course, he's not very good in the field at all, but his ratings are pretty decent. A huge home run power, not bad discipline. So I think this could be a deal that would be pretty interesting for us. Of course, we have about $10 million left to spend this season with free agents, and kind of looking at what he wants. I think this kind of deal would be pretty advantageous for us, kind of in the same deal as Paxton. Put him under contract for this year, and then based on how he performs, if he performs well, we could deal him at the deadline, and then he wouldn't accept that player option. We'd go to free agency and look most likely for a long-term deal. Or if he is not that good and would want to perform on that $5 million contract next year, we could either keep him on the team or try and trade him, because that would either mean he performed poorly or just not well enough to decline that player option for the next season. So I'm going to try to get this down a little bit, see if we can get it down to about $5.5 million for each year, just so kind of want to maximize our money here. And he's going to at least listen to that offer and consider it. So then I'll get back to you guys probably during spring training when he decides what he's going to do with the offer. Very quickly after we went ahead and offered Soler that contract, he accepted it pretty much 8 days later. We offered him on the 1st, accepted on the 9th, so he's going to be accepting that offer there. It might be kind of tricky to fit him in here looking towards the season. Of course, he does not play good defense in the outfield really at all, and of course we do have Brian Reynolds, who plays pretty good defense in left field, but of course can't really play anywhere else. Can Soler play the infield at all? Not really. If we didn't have Co, I would be open to playing him at first base, or at least trying it out. The problem is he has really low air ratings. With that range, I would possibly maybe try to put him in somewhere else on the infield, and I don't believe Brian Reynolds, he can't really play the infield either. Wow, he's 6'3". I did not realize that. So Soler, to be honest here, we might have to go with a bit of an unconventional lineup kind of here. Brian Reynolds could very well start center field opening day for us. Probably him over Bowers. Bowers doesn't have bad ratings, but he doesn't have any position rating at center field, so we'd have to kind of wait a while for him to be serviceable in center field. So I think I'll probably do that once we get into spring training. I'm definitely going to mess around with kind of how we do things to see what a lineup would be best. But I'm going to go ahead and summing forward to regular season and let you know what happens. At the conclusion of spring training here, we're ready to go ahead and set our team for the year. However, we did have a few injuries over the course of that time. As you can see, we had 4 guys go down during spring training. The most recent was Jorge Soler, who just strained his triceps on March 30th, and opening day is tomorrow, April 7th. So he has about 5 weeks left on the strained triceps. So that's not too big of a deal. We're just going to play Reynolds in left, and then Inciarte will go ahead and platoon with Alfred most likely in center field. And then the other 3 injuries we had are pretty insignificant. Steven Almeida, the fielding hero from my Tiger series, who was money in that World Series that we won. He had a fractured thumb that he suffered at the beginning of spring training. He's not going to be in the Major League roster to start the season anyway, or at least I wasn't planning on it, so that doesn't really affect anything. Phillip Evans, also a kind of utility guy who was also not going to be on the opening day roster, so not a big deal. Sean Poppin was probably going to be in the bullpen for us this year. He got injured due to a shoulder injury, so he'll be down for 5 weeks. Not the biggest deal there, so to kind of set the roster, of course, we need 13 hitters and 13 pitchers. Justin Fowler, he's, the most obvious option to go down out of option, so we're just going to go ahead and waive him. I think the most obvious answer to trim down the last guy is to move a catcher, which is probably going to be Miguel Perez, just because of the fact that he's the worst defensive catcher out of him and Stallings. And our catcher that we got in the Rule 5 draft actually is developing nicely a little bit. He already increased his overall through spring training. So I think I'm going to go ahead and hang on to him. So Perez is probably going to be who we move. And then before we do that, we're going to go ahead and sort out the pitching. A few obvious candidates: Bednar, who missed all of last season. Austin Davis, of course, he's going to go down. We're only going to have one lefty in the bullpen, although that's probably just going to have to do for now, unless we find a decent guy in waivers before the season starts. And then we need 2 more to go down, so it's probably going to be Stratton, just because ratings-wise, and maybe not. Kyle Crick. So we're definitely just going to have to go and send some guys with options down, so definitely Broom. Cedarland probably has an option left, I would imagine, and he does, so that trims that down to 13. Kawasaki here is going to be our closer to start the year. Then I'm going to go ahead and shop Perez to see what kind of the market is for him, and if I don't like it, I might shop Stallings and maybe move instead, but I'm first going to shop Perez to try to trim this roster down. So I actually couldn't find any really good offers for Perez or Stallings, but Perez actually had an option left, so I went ahead and just demoted him down to AAA, so he's going to be playing there for at least the beginning of the season. Not too big of a deal. We just need to shave that roster spot. Now we have some catcher depth, so if anything happens to either of our catchers this season, we'll have some good depth. And Perez, who pretty much performed the same as Stallings last year, so of course, if any of these guys get hurt, it won't be too much of a production drop-off, but hopefully the guy we picked in the Rule 5 draft here is able to kind of go ahead and really hit well. Of course, he is not really a good defensive catcher, so that is really the most value that he provides at the catching spot, because, of course, he is not great defensively. Here's our season expectation. It's to stay respectable in the field. And then we'll go ahead and look at our top prospects list here. Organizationally, we are actually first here on the list, which is pretty interesting to see, honestly. I'm not quite sure how we got it in that spot. Looks like Tony Ozuna here, who we picked, is the top prospect in baseball. We, of course, picked him in... we didn't pick him. We signed him in the International Amateur Free Agents. This is definitely because OSA likes him quite a bit more than our scout does. Our scout also only has low accuracy on him, so I'll actually get a scouting report on him so I can maybe look at that next episode. But toolsy guy. Looks like here, could be a hit for contact, power, good discipline. So he has definitely got a lot of potential. And then, of course, Kumar Rocker, who we picked in the draft last time. He, of course, is developing pretty steadily, so he is also high up there. The second overall pick, Priester, who is already in the organization. He, of course, is a pretty good pitching prospect, so he's ranked pretty highly up there. Nick Gonzalez, pretty much a second baseman through and through. He's a decent little prospect here. Could be, contributing hitter on a winning team. And then the last guy we have here is Jared Jones, who honestly is a pretty interesting prospect. Really good fastball curveball mix, okay slider. That changeup is really, really going to kind of be determining what he's going to be. If he's going to be just lights out, wipe out stuff reliever, or if that changeup can develop a little bit more, he could potentially be a decent starter for us. So good to see that we're moving up organizationally on the prospects list here. Definitely hope that a lot of these guys end up panning out so we can quickly become hopefully one of the better teams in the league. So with that said, that's going to do it as we're ready to head into the regular season here. So I'm going to go ahead and see you guys next episode. So thank you guys for watching, and we'll be getting into the regular season next episode.